Hey everyone, thank you for first of all tuning in tonight. And it's Thursday, isn't it? December 10th, 2020. I have to say the date because I'm learning that many documents that the poetry community have produced oftentimes fails to put the year of when they do something. They're good at the time, they're good at the day and the time and the location, but sometimes we don't put the year. And I'm doing that because I'm doing all this research. Now we know when it comes to David Hernandez, how many of you know that he may have been the first US Latino in Chicago to ever come out with a book of poetry? His book was called Waking Up in English, Despertando in Spanish. It came out in 1971. He told me the secret story behind it. I'll tell you what it is. He made friends with the janitor of the seminary, theological seminary over there on Halsted and Fullerton, and he became friends with this janitor there, who let him in at night to run off copies of his book on the early Xerox machine they had at that time. So he made that, and then he stapled it. And it was a chapbook. He had the price of 50 cents on it, and it came out. And that was the first book of poetry I ever bought from a person of Latino heritage. So Despertando. I'm sure if anybody has a copy of that book, it's probably worth something now, as is some of the, especially the early documents. And of course, many people are familiar with David Hernandez when he got published with Tia Chucha Press, with Rooftop Piper, and he had a few other publications as well. We know that David passed away the 25th of February of 2013, and he was inducted there in the Hall of Fame, in the Literary Hall of Fame, in 2014. I basically can say that he mentored me in many ways, and I saw him really for the first time just before he started his street sounds. I saw David for the first time, and I want to tell you where I saw him. Lincoln and Montana, if you know the area. There used to be a little corner cafe called, we used to refer to it as Patsy's Greasy Spoon. And they had poetry readings there on Friday nights. And for the price of a cup of coffee, there was no entry. And I saw David walk in, accompanied by two lovely Puerto Rican women, and they were carrying bongos under their arms. And David, this was, I guess, before Street Sounds, and they were with him playing the bongos, not congas, but bongos, and he proceeded to rap out a poem. And after I heard him, I was like, man, who is this guy? You know, that was my first experience. And of course, many of us knew him. The poem I'm sharing tonight is called The Day Chicago Blew Up. Some of you know it. It's from his book, Rooftop Piper. When the city accidentally blows up because Mrs. O'Leary's great-great-grandson, Michael, was taking a morning lunch break by Lincoln Park instead of supervising the sewer system that had been backing up for days. The mushroom cloud explosion was observed by the surrounding burbs, towns, hamlets. All the natives smacked on the side of the head were miraculously unhurt and began praying, since they thought Star Wars had arrived and would presently die from nuclear fallout. So all the ethnics forgot their cultural differences, stopped competing for the next Summerfest, and began sharing recipes instead. Cops began to really serve and protect outside their fellow cops. Politicians shredded all evidence against them, attempted to live within their real salaries, and felt they were starving to death. Suburbanites no longer feared of being mugged by some pointed-toed shoe, black leather-dressed Chicagoan. Chicagoans were no longer afraid of being killed and buried in a forest-preserved shallow grave by some college-educated, psychotic, mass-murdering suburbanite. Religions came together, amended their doctrines, and allowed God to come in. The Salvation Army went on a diet and allowed non-white people into their ranks. The Art Institute and LaSalle Truck and Diesel School admitted they were using the same curriculum. Health food stores felt guilty and began feeding the hungry with profits made from selling organically grown, puny-looking apples at $10 a pound. Cab drivers knew exactly where to go on the shortest route available. Dope dealers and doctors admitted they were one and the same and promised not to do it again. Rich people distributed their wealth, poor people distributed their poverty, and the middle class went crazy because they no longer held a monopoly on moaning and blaming and bitching about taxes. But finally, blacks, whites, Asians, Native Americans, Hispanics, Jews, and Gentiles approved interracial marriages, and their offsprings all look just like Puerto Ricans. David Hernandez. Que viva David. All right. Thank you.